She left me at home by the way. Hey, when she leave, love when she walk away. Yeah. Why the ones I keep having no interest? Running routes, run her own missions. Shortcomings on a long distance. And why she acting so mean? Should've stayed on my team. Ooh, can't save with no ring. Yeah, okay. She got in the
Make some noise. World's greatest podcast in the world is back, and you know we only bring out the most fire of guests in the area and in the world, as you have heard. And today we have the good man, owner of Pray For, good man Karl. Make some fucking noise.
Thank y'all.
So Karl, you've been sometimes one day I think we should just drop the behind where you guys can just see all the talk that y'all don't get to see sometimes. But you've been dropping a lot of gems on us before we started. Just life gems. So I already know where this episode's gonna go. But before we get there, I need the people to get to know a little bit about you. Pray For.
Yeah.
Explain that to me.
So Pray For Love. It's the whole name is Pray For Love, and I brand it as Pray For just strategically, but it's my wife, my two children that makes the four. So that's my energy. That's my temple. Four is a multiple of two, and then also of eight, and eight is the most divine number, they say. So
there's some numerology in this.
and I take little bits and pieces of spirituality and everything. Pray. We're so used to praying to God with the hands up to the sky, folding hands, whatever. Like, we so used to asking God for things, but we don't go and work. So no man in biblical history, got any blessings without working his ass off. So we got a PREY, which is the work. And then love is anything that you desire or you're aiming towards, a goal, your family, your job structure, whatever you're working towards, like, you got to really work for it. So Pray For Love is...
So that's one of my biggest things, because we was trying to have you on for a while. You're a hard man to get on. You're a busy man. I understand. Listen, can y'all see this jacket? Your man came in this joint.
The entire fit.
I was like, I let him, but that nigga.
And you know what I'm learning too is, like, everything catches on later. Like, this was 2021.
Yeah, this is
2022. We re-released it at Broccoli City. People still were kind of hesitant, and I'm like, was it the price point? But that's all. I guess we would talk about that.
Yeah, I trust you. But listen, your man came in with it. I said, okay. I was like, where you get this from? I was like, can I have that?
It's all me, baby.
I was like, yo, I got a NASCAR joint upstairs. I'm like, hold on, that joint look a little better than my joint. Yeah. But that's what I'm trying to get you, because Pray, you have a PREY, and I want to make sure, because I'm big on words. Yeah. An animal that is caught and killed by another food or plunder a prize. Mm-hmm. So when you said that last part about, like, I said, you had really, because in particular it says biblical. Mm-hmm. So you already had all this thought. Was there a certain moment where you're like, it goes from Pray AY to EY, or you just always had that kind of straightforward?
My wife was pregnant. I was still living in Orlando. This is 2018.
You like a shot, brother?
Not right now, bro. Thank you. My wife was pregnant with my daughter at the time. My son was about 2. Yeah, just turned 2. So she was maybe at the tail end of the pregnancy. So, I'm just in the bed and I couldn't sleep. And I was talking to the Most High, like, heavily at that point. I was going through a phase of shedding another set of skin. Like, I was shedding. I was going through a phase of not really...
A series of tests, if you will.
And we had built something from nothing, in a sense. Like, when I moved to Florida, I moved with one of my homies, and he used to play in the NFL. And I only say that because he was in a better position for me to have a launch pad moving down there, because I didn't have a job set up. I just was tired of the cycle I was in here, So I ended up moving down there. My wife was still in school at Coppin State, and she was graduating, a few months later. Went to her graduation, and she ended up moving that same year. I moved in 2014. She moved to Miami. She was gonna go to culinary school. That didn't work out.
Were y'all married at the time?
Nah, we were just dating, but we were like, that was the first girl that I actually
was locked in with.
Yeah, in a while, and years, and I told her the first conversation, I was like, she was like, why are you single? Or why are you just dating? And I'm like, man, the next relationship I have has to be potential to be my wife. I'm not just like jumping into anything. So if that means that it's just a revolving door, then that's just what it got to be, you know, until I feel like it's good for me, because the responsibility of the man is going to be, you know, far different than the woman, and the woman does things that the man can't do either. So you have your own set of, you know, things and responsibilities in a relationship that you got to do as a woman, and as a man, I want to be able to be there to hold up my end of the bargain. So I'm not really jumping into anything with anybody, like, because the pressure, you know, becomes evident, and then you start to kill the relationship because you're not really taking the necessary steps. You know, you feel pressured or rushed into it, and I just never rushed. Like, we dated for 4 years before we even, you know, decided to make it official in a sense. We never had a conversation like, hey, you want to be my girlfriend? It wasn't that type of thing, but, you know, responsibility-wise, we were responsible emotionally for each other, and definitely spiritually we started to become more connected, and I'm still outside drinking, smoking, you know, partying, so you definitely get more exposed to women in that way, and then you lose sight of what you got at home at times. And I was like 25, 26, and, you know, now it's like at 37, that seemed like a whole lifetime ago. That's a whole different person. I don't even recognize that person at times, but that's just a part of the, you know, the story. But the PREY was always because I was a bartender at the time, and it was at one point my boy was just like, look, I'm about to sell this house, you know, because he was big in the real estate. He was like flipping houses, and we were living on a golf course, gated community. My wife now, she had moved with me. My sister was there with me, and he never had a complaint about any of that. He just was like, look, until y'all are able to do this, I can give you this. Y'all can have a house for this price a month. I can rent it out to y'all, but I can get this if I put it on the market. I just, you know, y'all family, but I got to keep doing what, you know, I'm having kids. Got to do what's right for me, too. So I ended up getting a job as a host at Outback Steakhouse, like right down the street from the house, making like $250 a week. I was 30 years old. I was like 28, 29. I think like 28, 29. I'm a host making $200 a week, you know, and then worked my way up to being a server, making like $200 a night, and then I worked up to be a manager and a bartender, making like $300-400 a night, you know, working like 4 hours a day. I was like, oh, I can do this as a career, but then I'm like, this ain't really what I want to do. So I started just thinking like, what can I work towards? And it was actually crazy because a lot of the customers that would come in, they became, you know, my regulars, and everybody would come in and ask for me. Specifically, mind you, I'm in a predominantly, you know, it was eclectic as far as like culture, but that restaurant in particular was predominantly white. So, you know, everybody's like, man, I'm the darkest person that work here, you know, like just tone, right? And it's the whitest of white people that would come in and ask for me. I'll come back tomorrow. When does he work again? You know, and I started building that, and those people used to come in and literally tell me, you know, like, Most High is my witness. Like, they used to tell me, like, I know who you are. I'm like, what? Like, I know who you really are. Like, you are, you know, you are him. And when they would say it, it was like, I took it as like a literal sense. Like, I'm not God. Like, what you talking about? I'm not God. Like, but they like, no, like, you are one of the original people. Like, you don't carry yourself as, you know, as something recognizable, and that's what's being lost. And it was older white folks that were like, they called them snowbirds. They called them like, so they would run from the snow in the wintertime, stay down in Orlando, maybe stay at like not a trailer park, but a RV park, pay like $300 a month, and then they'll just go back up north, you know, in the summertime to go see their family and stuff. But those people were connected to, you know, who we are more than we are, you know, connected. So that was my beginning points of like starting to like dive deep into self and lose the selfish nature of like just being so egotistically driven or materialistically motivated. And it's like kind of a double-edged sword because I got a fashion brand, but I think being more sustainable, providing more quality instead of fast fashion, like a lot of this stuff is what we ignore at times, and we don't get to express ourselves in that way because we're competing with, you know, the short attention span of society. So Zara's and this ain't to knock them, it's just like Zara's, even Walmart, fast fashion, you can go get a 20 pack of t-shirts for, you know, a certain price, but you wash them each once, and now you got to give them to your son because now they go from an XL to an extra small. You know, so it's just understanding like marketing is everything. Putting your, I love Jerry Lorenzo and what he does. So you know, fear of God was something that was popping around that 2015, 16 era, and I didn't understand it. But then everybody fears God, and the fear of God is not, oh my gosh, he's gonna kill me. The fear of God comes from, I don't want to disappoint by not living up to my truest self, my truest potential.
I have to answer for the things I'm doing one day, so that's one thing you definitely should fear.
Yeah.
But to come, you went on, not I wouldn't say a Twitter rant, but you spoke your truth. You got some shit off on the internet the other day, and what you said just now made me want to ask you about what you said.
Okay.
May I read these 3 tweets?
Of course.
Hold on, before you read the 2 tweets. 2015, you said 16. So that's when you first started making clothing.
No,
Prey clothing.
I never made anything at that point.
Okay.
That was just that. It was 2018.
2018.
But
That was just the origin.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
This is my 3rd brand.
Gotcha.
So you know, I've been pursuing it.
Yeah, just wanted because I heard I heard 15, 16. I just wanted. I continue. I just want to get that in there real quick.
Then I was gonna,
he can get to the tweets. I just wanted to make sure because I said.
What he said, I feel like it's going to lead into your actual question.
No, do you think? I heard 15, 16. I said, oh.
Yeah. Please stop treating black designers, black business, black anything like you're doing charity when in reality most of us are providing better quality and communication than so-called gatekeepers you love to.
Firebomb.
I just spoke about my jacket, right?
You know what I'm saying? The value is never going to beg you to see it. This is an industry where shit can be amazing or shit can come in all fucked up. Either way, we are still doing it independently. No investments outside of our own. Next, this is the last tweet. Fuck playing politics to not fuck ruffle feathers and people quote unquote supporting you. Ain't shit easy. We all making a way to keep us in the game. But damn, it's like we always gotta compromise with our own so-called people all the time. My question is 2 parts. Why did you feel like you needed to get that off? I feel like I know the kind of basis of it. There's the article that recently dropped with Paramount. Is that part of it?
No, I didn't actually. What date was that?
That was.
That just came out like this week.
I can check when Rich sent me. Let me.
It was. I didn't read it, but
I read a lot of it.
Find the article. Rich texted me Monday, 6:46.
Yeah, it was Monday.
So that was 6:46 p.m. When did I tweet those?
Let's see.
Was it after?
Because I just know I screenshotted it.
Yeah.
And then I saved it because I was like, I'm definitely going to ask brother.
He said, I'm definitely going to.
Let me go to my Twitter.
Niggas got the tweets popping.
I love that
5
stuff.
days ago, 11:52 a.m. on the 30th.
So it was before he even sent it to me. I just was feeling. I've always felt like
that's
this.
why I asked. I was like, damn. I was like, that's just crazy because I was like, the article just. I feel like the article dropped at like what 10 o'clock.
Maybe so
in the morning.
And I didn't read it until the evening.
Okay.
But I go with my spirit. Like I'm not one to kind of hide how I feel. I did play a little bit of politics last year, which hurt, the business, like financially or money wise.
You know.
You could. Analytics would say that we did better than the previous year. We've been, fortunate enough or blessed enough to keep on our upward trajectory, but at the same time, we also took many losses. Like me and my wife, just being business owners, took over 100K in losses. So if you make 6 figures, just understand like you spend big to win big, and sometimes learn a bigger lesson. We own a trucking company, catering company. We do mentorships. We do turnkey services with the trucking. Like my wife is an amazing businesswoman outside of just being a wife and a mother. I tweeted that because I just know we people didn't even know we did a case study. So we cheapen the quality, right?
So explain that to people who may not be aware of what a case study is.
So case study for us is just basically putting a set of finding some hypothesis, right? And then putting it into a structure where we can find some some sort of I guess spreadsheet and charting like what people gravitate to in whatever. So the case study was basically about like, do people care about quality or quantity? Because you have Fashion Novas, you have Pretty Little Things, and I know those are like
that fast fashion you've been talking about.
you know, like you have the Zaras and things like that, and then you have wholesale sites that give you options to get Gildan or, you know, Bella Canvas. Bella Canvas is not that much better than Gildan, but they charge a more premium price. And this is just me being as transparent as possible, because a lot of people don't like sharing information with certain vendors and things like that. I noticed that that we weren't selling as many cheaper quality items at a more affordable price point as we sold our quality like Prayers Club pieces, our quality PreyFourLove pieces. Like, so our daily prayer pieces, like the more statement based, we try to make it so that you can get it, you know, I don't want to say fast, but a little bit, you know.
I don't think y'all's is too more expensive than those other sites like Pretty Little Things and stuff like that.
That was, so at first it was like hoodies prices for me, like a 10 ounce or more hoodie is $90 or more.
Yeah.
Just based on if I go into a Mary, you paying $690 for the same hoodie I got.
I was about to say, like,
same joint. I just got these.
If anybody, but that's like, if you know anything about a product, a 10-ounce hoodie, man, like you paying at least $100 for that.
At least. And a lot of people are sacrificing trying to capture the attention of your local audience or keeping the attention of how, like, wherever you started, instead of just keep, like, you're gonna lose people along the way, family, friends, whatever. Like, my target audience isn't to be the local hero, so I don't really cater to one community over the other. Like, I go to LA and they love us. I go to, you know, Texas and they love us. So if you're not showing the brand the respect here, that's why people, that's why people leave, you know. But you don't want to be local. Like, you don't technically want to be, like, if you're in this industry, for me, I don't want to just keep it local. Like, I have people that you know, want to put us on platforms that'll reach, you know, global audiences at some point. So for me to continue to cheapen
my work,
product, and the
short sell yourself,
you're kind of killing. So I got, like, this is my job. I don't go to work. Nobody's giving me a bi-weekly, and I'm not crying about, like, I've never cried about not being able to pay my bills or anything of that. I always talk about the business, right? So I'm always saying, like, y'all, like, now this week my campaign is, y'all don't like cheap shit anyway. And people are loving it, like, getting so much input, because it's like when I'm quiet and I'm the talker. Mo, my business partner Mo, Timeless Mo, he
shout out Timeless Mo.
Man, he
on IG too.
Man, he shine, right? He shine in the club with Diddy. He don't talk. He not gonna do too much talking. He just gonna.
He's gonna be time
you
to
know
work.
What I'm saying? Like, he gonna do whatever. But me, I'm the one that's like.
No, funny. I think I was following him on the Prey page.
Probably so.
Yeah.
And I'm not like.
I think he followed us around the time we did the second Rich interview.
Cause I wasn't here, so okay. A lot of people still don't know that I live in Maryland again. Like, they so used to me being in Florida. So, when they do see me pop out, they're like, "How long you in town for?" And I'm like, I moved back, you know, like since 2019. You know what I'm saying? It's been almost, you know, 4 years to the day. So, me tweeting those things was based on.
Congratulations, by the way, brother.
I appreciate it. Me tweeting those things was based on the fact that, like, y'all don't even know that I've been testing the market. So when I give you affordable stuff, you're not consuming it as fast as I associated it with other brands that put the same similar product out, maybe even a cheaper quality, but me selling you a $30 item, a hoodie, at a quality, you know, as a quality product, it just doesn't match up. Because you don't view it as quality. Like, you'll go work out in that hoodie. You'll buy it from me, wear it one time, and you're like, oh, I just spent $30 on this. You're not even thinking psychologically, like, how you're approaching our brands. This is a nice hoodie from Plastic Missiles.
Yes, sir.
This is almost 12 ounces. I got one, you know, so I know what it is. And his price, like, their price points, I be mad because it's like, why you keep selling yourself short?
Yeah.
But it's like, nah, I'm just starting. No, you're not. You started around the same time I started in 2011. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, shout out Marty and Say Two. Like, Say Two, me and Say Two known each other since middle school, high school, you know, so I understand trying to keep.
No, when I told, not to cut you off, but I told them and Rich that I was trying to get you on. Both of them was just like, hey, bro, let me know if you need me hit them or anything. I was like, no, we already in communication. It was like, bet.
Because they, like, you know, like I said, I don't really watch sports and entertainment. I don't keep up with current events of, like, I just see the Beyonce stuff, for instance. Like, it's comical because she did this when she dropped, what was it, the Lemonade album, I think, where she just came out with the album overnight, and then the tickets was like, I mean, relative to the time period, it was like 500. People were like making jokes like, oh yeah, I ain't paying my rent, or babysitter gotta bite this bullet this week because I need, you know what I'm saying? And I know it's for funnies, but it was serious. Like, people were really sacrificing to go and see somebody perform one night or for like 2 hours and not even the whole night. And you altered your whole life, but you don't even see this person. You can't shake their hand or nothing. So whatever the hypnosis that music puts on us or entertainment, you know, it's like sonic, you know, sonic power or spiritual power. Like, everything is sonic to me. Everything is energy. I just believe that you can either use that energy for good or evil. And you know, even having the ability to have a platform that people even paying attention to what you say, if you disagree with it, show me where I'm wrong, and we can have an educated conversation or a dialogue about it. Or, you know, you must agree with it, and I'm not lying. It's just other people ain't gonna say it, you know. And for whatever reason, not saying they scared or anything. It's just like, I'm gonna say it. You're not gonna shut me up, and like, cause I don't talk. When I talk, I have something to say, or else I'm quiet.
I don't talk much.
You get what I'm saying? So
get my piece off.
Yeah, I'm not just talking just to talk. And people sit and will just listen to me talking. I'm like, I really want to have a conversation. I don't want you to just look at me like I'm some prophet or something. I'm not. I'm very flawed. I'm, you know, I sin. I don't, you know, and it doesn't have a sense of like small or high. Like, sin is a sin. So for me, knowing that and appreciating that fleshly, like, you know, awareness, it helps me to just be as centered as possible, so that when I do, you know, come into a room with other men and women like that, even if they're not like mine, they show interest in what I'm doing, they are gonna love that. They're gonna leave with a product, and they're gonna love the brand because of now they know it's not just me showing you some girl with, you know, bottom or side titty out, or and people take that as offensive, but I take it as offensive that, you know, my daughter is gonna see this kind of stuff, and we singing F and F and all that, and kids are singing these certain songs, and I'm just like, yeah. No, I'm just saying, for like, you can understand it.
Yeah, I feel you. It's for the kids.
Yeah, the comprehension now.
I'm a jokes man.
There's no boundaries anymore. So kids can't, you know, kids. I was
can't discern that. Right. I appreciate you because you're not an old man, but you got old soul vibes. You like, listen, man, keep that shit in the booty club. Like, that's what the booty club, keep it over there. Like, my radio need to have, you know, some bops, you know, some chill bops.
Need some balance.
Balance for sure. But you said something that was interesting. This is not my first. You said Prey is not my first. Your third brand.
Yeah.
I saw you had Jason Tatum rocking a shirt way back when. Yeah. So that's why I asked about the 2015-16. What would you say you learned from those two prior experiences that have really helped you cultivate what PreyFourLove is?
So the first brand was called Retro Fate. That was basically a name that I came up with while working at CarMax.
Okay.
It was old school values. Like, your fate is wherever you're going to be, like wherever life takes you. And retro was just old. So old school, you know, old school work ethic, old school values to get to where you're going. It kind of coincides with PreyFourLove, but it's just, you know,
it's two different names. Time. You know?
There's a lot of spirituality within these names.
And I always connected to that because like I said, I benefited from being, you know, exposed to Catholic culture, Protestant, Episcopalian. My grandmother that just passed, you know, a month ago, like, she was Jehovah's Witness, and I didn't understand. Like, she cursed more than anybody else. You know what I'm saying? But like, they used to make it seem
Joe
like,
Jackson, you know, he was Jehovah's Witness, man. You know.
So I know God is us. God could be, God is water, God is air, God is trees. Like, you know, I don't think God is perfect when you look at things, because if there was none before, then how do you know what to do? Or how do you know what not to do? Not questioning it as a.
It makes no mistake.
You get what I'm saying? Like, it ain't no. He's creating it. You know what I'm saying?
mistakes.
So it's not a mistake. It's perfection. It's perfecting the craft. Like, I don't look at perfection as you don't do things wrong or right. I just think you just getting better with time. And
sure.
if you infinite, then and time is endless for you, you're never gonna go backwards. And so. But anyway, my bad. Because I love, like I said, I get into these spaces.
Listen, this is what we're here for. This is what we're here for.
We just had a pre-pod.
That's what I'm saying. so brand two. I'm gonna help you. Brand
so
two.
Retro Fate was the first one. I made a mistake of branding that around Victor Oladipo. You do not base your brand around an athlete or entertainer, because anything can happen. They can get traded. So the market that you was building in, he leaves, then how do you build in that other market, right? They sign contracts where, NDA clauses where they can't discuss certain things, nor can they promote
Outside.
Right.
Okay.
So I didn't know how to work around it at the time.
Was that
Instagram was
Nike or
just
Jordan?
Jordan.
Okay.
Jordan sucks. Like, as far as brand deals, Jordan sucks. Like, they don't want you to do nothing outside of and they don't really. All right. Just knowing.
I'm about to say.
Just knowing some
don't
stuff
get my
that
man
I know,
in trouble, man. My man is in good places right now. Let my
wanted
man
to know.
cook. He's in good
As we watching you, what's he do?
He's in good places right now. Let my man have the relationships, keep them flowing.
I sincerely apologize.
And it's not
on.
Jordan himself.
Yeah.
It's just the business
corporate
structure.
structure.
Yeah,
the
the structure.
legality of
All that other things
the
that are
wording of
above.
contracts.
That are above. That are
Wording
above.
of deals
But we
and
love
contracts.
The fine print.
Listen, we love y'all though.
fine
You know,
print.
Jordan on his
Send them over, buddy. Send them over.
Listen, man.
You know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying? Like, I got every
There's no
right?
love.
I'm just saying, like, when it
Give it a
came to
little
the
dicey.
legal side of it, I was like, I didn't understand the legal side of it, so it was like we became stagnant, and then we had an opportunity with an investor out of New York to sell the brand for $1 million, but it was a 80-20 split, and I was like, with that 20, you basically can push me out the boardroom. I don't have no input, no say so. And you wanted to base it again around, Victor. So it was like, nah, I'm not gonna put Victor in that compromising spot either, because he's still figuring out his own brand, and then we end up beefing about some business, because you know what I'm saying, like, it just becomes real technical, and I deal with morality.
Both y'all be left high and dry.
Right.
Because they kick you out the boardroom, then somebody that he initially went in to deal with is no longer there.
Exactly.
It's just like, they can do whatever they want now.
And then you sign the contract, and you're not allowed to talk to Karl. You're not allowed to have contact with anybody that was affiliated previously, and those kind of things do happen. So, nope, I appreciated the relationship more than money. So I just said no to that. Some people would be like, you didn't take it wasn't $1 million. They were gonna buy out whatever came with it, and then
Do it
20. You know what I'm saying? So it might have been just a little $200,000 up front. I could have took that $200 and started PreyFourLove, but PreyFourLove wasn't
After taxes,
wasn't there yet.
taxes are cool, 95.
You get what I'm saying?
So before
I
you
wasn't there yet.
Before you get into PreyFourLove, this has been a question that has been on my mind since I first heard you might come on.
Yeah.
You started PreyFourLove in like the peak of the pandemic.
My nuts hang, man. I've
So
never been
So he
afraid of
moved
nothing.
back home
right before.
Right, but I get that.
Florida was bad.
I understand all this because you've explained like, I'm back home for four years at this
to
point.
the time frame. We didn't even get to the fact that he's been living in other countries yet.
Yeah, we'll get back to Jamaica, London connection, all that. But the thing that got me this whole time was that I was like, did this man really start? Like, because people, everyone did a lot of stuff. Yeah. Everyone was doing everything. People started all types of shit.
He started a business. He struck a match.
But that's what I'm saying. You didn't just like start something. You really like got your footing in and went all kind of like, all right, now I'm a brand.
Yeah.
What was the like?
And it looked like you've been here.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, what was the thought process like peak pandemic? You know, everyone, we're all on our phones. We don't know if we're gonna die tomorrow or what's gonna happen.
What type of sneeze is
Well,
this?
well, you know, if it's a smoking cough or it's a COVID cough,
Is this a
Like
hookah
the
cough?
sneeze is this.
Well, you
This
know,
is funny. Like, go,
Nah,
with all that being said, what
like,
made
is this
you?
an allergy sneeze or is that the vid
Yeah,
sneeze?
you know,
It's like,
listen, I remember when I was coughing, niggas was like,
Oh.
niggas was looking at me, I was like, bro, I smoke backwards. Like, leave me
Yeah.
alone, relax. They was like, I was like, nigga, you
Stand.
trust me.
Stand.
But
like my whole chest hurt or just the left side? You gotta ask some questions.
that was
You know what I'm
it was really tough.
Yeah,
but you see, that's what we were worried about. You decided, yo, I'm gonna make this.
So off camera, I like
You give
delve
us
deeper
all right,
into. No, I'll answer this question.
Okay,
I'm just
bet.
saying like off camera because you started talking about the CV stuff.
Yeah,
and all
yeah,
that.
yeah.
It's like
The scene.
like I don't.
I respect it. I
I'm
respect it.
big on like fear mongering. Like I'm big into that. Like fear mongering.
Oh no, we
mind
agreed.
control.
We said it on the line. They fear mongering the shit out
Okay,
of a lot of
yeah.
people.
So
with
you
the
don't know how
COVID shit.
powerful your mind is, right?
Yeah.
A lot of us don't know like the most powerful thing on this planet outside of God Himself and Earth is the human brain.
Mm-hmm.
It's infinite. Like
It's the
it's not.
strongest
There's
muscle in
no
your body.
right.
It
There's-
controls every emotion.
But think about how the brain can control somebody else's thoughts and
Yeah.
patterns, right? So
Shout out
I
to the
figured,
movie Inception.
come on, man, you can go deeper and deeper, different walls, right? So with everything that was going on, I knew everybody was right here,
Yeah.
all day.
Getting
You had
anything on that
DJ,
motherfucker, too.
what was that? DJ Self.
Yeah.
He had the hats, and he was doing the
Yeah,
DJ
DJ
set
Nice.
for a whole year.
Oh, DJ Nice did it too.
DJ Nice, my bad. For a whole year, you didn't get to leave your house, or you believed that you didn't leave your house. So for me, I was working at Amazon. I was planning to buy a house. I ain't tucking my tail. Like, first of all, I knew that everybody was getting money. Yes, you had to stay in the house, but no, you were making more in a week than you made bi-weekly. So you were
For
making
sure, 'cause
double
you're
your
not
pay.
spending no fucking money.
Nothing. But I understood that I'm going to go work because I don't want to owe these folks nothing.
For sure.
You already taxing me anyway, so I don't want you to double down on me for the next 20 years. And then make my kids have to pay back what happened in 2020. All right. So 2019 we moved back. I had the feeling that my wife missed, the family here because we by ourselves. It's just me, my wife, my two children at the time, my two children and my sister. We just live down there, and this ain't my blood sister, but
She might as well.
yeah, we close as ever. It was just us down there. We didn't have no family down there, so we were, each other's family. So we decided it's been like 5 years. I was like, I'm about to move. We about to move back. So 2019 March 9th, we moved back here, and we pushed her business, Elle's Kitchen. And I don't call myself a chef, but I do my thing in the kitchen. So we ran that up to almost like $80,000 like in 9 months.
That's all right. Alhamdulillah.
And she literally told me in 2020, it's time for you to do your stuff. Don't like you help me. I love you. Let's focus on pray for love now. So 2020 hit the ground running with just hoodies, tees, sweatshirt. I had one. Actually, I just had one T-shirt in 2020. It was a black tee and it had the yellow and red Pray font. So the earliest Pray font, it was supposed to mimic the mouth of an animal, a wolf, tiger, lion, but the teeth. So
got you.
it came down to a point on the Y and the P, and that's where you get that logo from.
Okay, so they're not thunderbolts.
So I'll explain, right?
Okay.
So that the very first one, this one you see on the jacket is the new.
Okay.
That's the 2021 version because I had to pivot.
Yes, sir.
Somebody tried to hit me with some legal jargon about trademark infringement, blah blah blah. I was like, I told it, and it was a kid from Connecticut. I told him straight up. I said, this can't stop nothing, right? Like, I do this for real. You're mad about the name, and I can create something again because it means something. So I meant that. Like, I really do this. So that same night, 2021, I created this new logo, and it was energy. Like, I sell energy. I don't sell clothes per se. Like, clothes don't make you. So, you use clothes to provide you with covering and to provide you with some sort of energy, right? Warmth is definitely a key component of, energy conduction and things like that. 2020 was
especially today.
Right. So 2020, I was working at Amazon, slanging boxes, for
I
Amazon.
I like how you put that, slanging boxes.
Man, slanging boxes. Y'all was ordering ridiculous amounts of just pointless shit. But it kept money in my pocket consistently because, you know, it was a weird time to be living in. You didn't know if your job was going to shut down and stop paying you. You didn't know what was going on. I said, nah, I ain't sitting around waiting for this. So I ended up working at Amazon when I came back from Jamaica 2019. November, literally the week after. I was like, bet, I'm going to just go work here and we can get the pay stubs for a year, buy a house in at the end of 2020 or 2021, I think. I don't remember. My wife keep up with all that. Yeah, so my thought process was, y'all are looking at this. So from January to, well, nah, because the pandemic didn't start until March. So from, like, we had just came back from, let me just be clear, 2019, I had COVID, November, in Jamaica. The last day I was in Jamaica seeing my dad, I just got sick that night. And everybody on the plane was coughing. Everybody on the plane was shivering. Everybody on the plane was cold sweats. Everybody. My wife got sick. As soon as we landed, the kids got sick. And this was November 2019. We went to LA February. Around this time, we went to LA for my birthday, 2020. Nip had died, so like it was the height of like the murals and paying homage and things like that. Kobe, you know, like everything was just happening. All of that stuff was happening. So came back, and about 2 weeks later, the world, you know, shut down. So I was still outside. I think we had like 3 days to sit and wait and see what, you know, what we could do. We had to, they had to send us like a ticket to come across the bridge, like identification to come across the bridge to go into Virginia. Like I'm like, yo, this is some real I Am Legend type, you know. You know, so I wasn't tripping either way. I was noticing that the clouds looked different. I was noticing how much they were spraying in the sky while we were supposed to be inside. I was noticing all of these things, you know, cloud seeding and you know, changing the structure of the atmosphere. You know, they put it's a plant in every city where they just pump into the sky. You don't even know what that plant does. They're just pumping all this smoke into the sky. You have no clue what it's doing. So anyway, not even to get off track, I say, you know what? I got to put in some work. They need prayers right now. Nobody needs to be talking to God without understanding that you got to be doing something, you know, to get it, right? So we were just pushing the PreyFourLove. So it was just that first logo, and I started with 20 shirts and like 20 hats, moved those, just branding. One of the homies was helping me, and we just kept branding it, and then, you know, we kind of like, you know, just kind of dissipated because I was working. I couldn't get them stuff all the time. Yeah. So I started thinking about e-commerce. So I started a Big Cartel account, and Pat is dope. Shout out Pat. He been there from the first brand. So, you know, shout out Pat. I sent him some stuff, some shorts.
No, that's one person that's been plugged into the city forever.
Oh my gosh. And he has no ego. Not in the way that people think. He just know himself, and he not a politics kind of person. He don't really be playing the politics. He like, I love so genuinely that people always come around and want something and don't think that I'm gonna ask for nothing back. And he was like, I don't really ask. I just be playing, you know, playing that role to see how far you gonna try to take it before I had to, like, you know, put you back into place. But that's for another conversation. I got some shorts on him. I was getting these shorts from China. They now sell these same shorts on Shein. I was getting these shorts from China. They was like a orange bandana short. And he was like, how much you selling these for? I was like, $40. He was like, nah, bro. You gotta up your price. These joints is hot right now. Upped it to 80. I couldn't keep them in stock fast enough. Like, people was like hounding the page and everything. So my engagements at the time was high. Low follow count, high engagement of like 50,000. I had like maybe like 1,000 followers. Wasn't really paying attention to analytics like that. I was just like trying to keep up. I was at work, mind you, 3-4 days a week. I didn't have time, so my wife jumped in. She'll be knocking out orders. I had bought a heat press. I bought a Cricut cutter. I bought some vinyl.
Y'all got to work.
No,
but I've done. You said I look like I've been here, right? I've done this before, so I knew I done had the whole setup. The whole, like, I had a garage, like a warehouse joint. I had a 4 or 5 color process. I think it was like 4 or 6 color process. Screen printing setup. Had the heat press. I had the heater. I had the dryer. I had all that. Couldn't do nothing with it. Wasn't even making more money to pay the bill every month. And I had all like $10,000 worth of equipment. What was the point in that? So I figured out how to
cost more to turn the shit
right.
on.
So you do more efficient work to make more, income. So that's what 2020 was. Just started knocking stuff out, and it was. I think I benefit from showing you the process, like showing you the work, showing you that I'm actually praying every day. I'm not just telling you that this is what you're doing. I'm getting off work, and then I'm showing you like I'm pressing out 20 hoodie orders or 20 t-shirt orders, and it's 10 o'clock at night, and then I got crying babies in the back. My wife is like pulling her dreads out because she's like, I've been home all day with these kids, and you just coming home to come do more work, and like, you know what I'm saying? So it was like, and not saying she was complaining, it's just, the
So you use social media to like get this out, not just like.
Yeah, you couldn't go see nobody.
So you turn like, this is content. Like, did you know you were making content, or was it?
I was very cognizant of that. I studied. Okay. So again, like almost 14 years of this, like I study everything. So I look at, like I said, I brought up, Wallow and Gilly. I brought up Earn Your Leisure and those type of podcasts, and seeing how they structure themselves. Everything is content. Wallow was in the rain. Just talking some shit, you don't even know what he's saying. You just like, bro, you ain't got no shoes on. You in the rain, like you just hopped over the fence and your phone is getting wet, and like I'm more locked into the fact of what you would do. Gary V, big on content, big on the internet. He's not a person that's gonna shy away. He's an older guy too, so he keeps me motivated as far as like age wise. Like,
gotcha.
He's like, man, I think you got until you about 72 before you could, call it quits. He's like, maybe even 80. And a lot of like that's just mental, conditioning. He's not American in the sense his family are immigrants, just like just like they try to say we are. But they came over on boats and they built a life, and they, you go from like, why don't we have a wine company?
On the liquor store in Jersey or New York or somewhere around there.
So talking about family real quick, because you talk about living in multiple countries. You say you lived in London.
Yeah.
Anywhere else?
London, Jamaica. I've been to Iceland, Paris, Rome, Canada, Mexico. I know I'm missing other places in Europe because we, being in England, you just right there. So
so you just go everywhere.
Yeah, they built the underground, the underwater train like while I was young. So we got to actually.
Oh, you lived there when you were younger.
Yeah, when I was young. So like my mom grew up there. She was born in Kingston, Jamaica. My dad was born in Montego Bay, but never knew each other until they came to America. But she ended up going over to live with her parents at the age of 10, and they lived in England. My grandfather was in the British military, so he set up his a life there, and then sent for my mom. And when she got there, how crazy this is! Like when she got there, she had a whole like. Her brothers and sisters were born. She had never met them. She was the oldest. Like, just think of that dynamic, because I'm diving big into like why our parents like are so trauma based, and they kind of pass that on to their kids. But anyway, lived in England, off and on, because my mom, like, that's what we did for each other back in the day. Like, we would help out. So I take your kid, I take the grandkids, take the grandparents will take the kids, while the mom or the dad get themselves together, and then you go back and get them. So you get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what they did. That's culture. That's how we grow. So
takes a village, my niggas.
Man, and people don't really appreciate that. So we ended up moving back to Maryland because we needed that village, and we were fortunate enough to live with my in-laws. I love them dearly, not because of what they do for family, just the type of people they are, and they remind me of my mom and dad. So. Which they are now, through marriage.
Yeah, for sure.
And even, I'm gonna just get off topic, because even like a ring, right, and like diving into why the ring came into play, and like how we pledge allegiance to the god of Saturn, and all. That's where the ring comes. But anyway, I think about all of that and having the freedom to explore. So fashion is that freedom that I've always wanted. Like basketball provided that, because you know, you kind of dancing. And I never was like a coordinated dancer, but my footwork was immaculate playing basketball.
On the court.
You get what I'm saying? Like, so drop steps, spin moves, stopping on a dime.
Back
you
to the
know, you get what I'm saying? Like, I was a big guard, so in my head, I structured my life around like Sam Cassell, Chauncey Billups, of course Mike, Kobe. Like learning how to be a guard that can bully you, but be finesse at the same time.
Yeah,
so
Andre Miller
you
type.
get what I'm saying? Like I love that type of basketball because you can control. I feel like the energy when I can lean on you, I can feel what you're trying to do. I can lean on you, you waste your energy
use
trying
your
to
energy
push
to
back. I can
add
spin
more
off of
energy
you,
to me.
falling on the ground.
For sure.
So that's how I look at fashion.
Thought
It's
you was
like
gonna put a
being
chair
able.
on me and then spin off. For
So
sure.
you get it, you know, and I
We
think,
used to, well, he hooped way better than I did, but we all used to hoop.
but just being in the gym, you got to
Yeah.
express yourself. Maybe your expression wasn't as pretty as the next person. You know what I'm saying? But
he played in high school, and
Okay.
I stopped at middle school.
I mean, and it's a lot of people that never played organized that are some of the best players that you never heard about. You get what I'm saying? So I appreciate the game from more like a Baby Shaq. Like Hugh was like, I don't know. I just looked at him as like, damn, like why ain't you? But it's politics as well because you got to know certain people. Who you
Shout
know?
out
It's like,
Aki. My boy Aki from Harlem would say it's political.
It is.
It's real political.
Yeah. You got to play the game, and if you're not willing to, then
And then what's
you can't play. You know what I'm saying? So,
Frank Nitty.
right.
So
Bucket.
I want to know about your time in London, just your actual experience, because I love the blokes. I love the lines.
London is amazing. It's no different from here.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
television London. It's just like
Okay.
Paris is one of the most. No
Yeah,
disrespect.
I had nothing for Paris
Yeah,
personally.
Paris is one of the most filthy places. Paris is
I
not
did
the
not like
pictures that
Paris.
they take. Paris
Yeah,
is like
I
a
did not like
place.
Paris.
My mother said that the first time I ever said, I was like, oh yeah, I want to go. She was like, where you want to go when you travel? I was like, I want to go to Paris. She was
I have
like,
nothing
that's
for
the
Paris.
dirtiest city in the world.
Dirtiest city.
She
I have
was like,
nothing
it
for Paris.
stinks
I went to
there.
Paris. It was cool.
Like the smell is horrible.
Paris-
Like, all day.
Paris is like New York.
Everybody I meet that said they went to Paris be like, bro, that shit.
Paris
booty.
reminds me of
Yeah, like, it's
a
not.
New York that I don't want to be in.
Yeah.
It's just,
Man, listen.
it looks
I,
nice sometimes.
There's certain places in Jamaica that like would blow Paris out the water. Like
Yeah.
my phone.
I'd
listening
much
to
rather
it.
go to Africa.
Yeah, anywhere, but like wherever they, cause it's gonna sound, wherever it's not too many of us, you just you if you know.
I feel that.
You know the Moors, like look
I
up
was
your
about to
history
say
of
the
the
Moors
Moors
saved
culture.
them
You get what I'm
because
saying?
like, they was going through a plague.
Who was in the Dark
They
Ages?
brought them soap.
We ain't never been in the dark. You get what I'm saying? Like if you do your research, you know,
the
like-
reason the pandemic has lasted so long is because of a certain type of individual.
come on, man, come on.
You guys have to
I didn't
relax.
say anything.
Pandemic was going on.
It lasted so long because of a certain type
You
of
guys
individual.
have to relax.
Bill Gates, right?
This is I don't know if you met this is our Dre. This is our unofficial fourth member of the
Yeah.
pod.
No,
He-
He's a-
he a
but
damn-
here it go,
presidency on the
right
pod,
here,
baby.
right? Like, just think about who profited. Like, when there's blood in the streets, there's money to be made. So,
I work for a pharmacy.
yo, so you already know, like, that big pharma is what controls the world. You know, petroleum and things like that.
So
But
I be going on dates. They be like, "So what you do for a living?" I'm a drug dealer.
literally, I am.
So I'm glad we can get back on topic because you helped me, Mook. He said he's a drug dealer for a living. What do you consider yourself?
I don't deal with hope. Obama did that. What was the lyric?
High five, man.
Reagan sold
High
dope.
five, man.
Obama sold
Golly.
hope. They said fuck Donald Trump, but just think about when Donnie was in office, and I'm not I don't.
No,
fuck with
listen,
things
you
like
got
that.
you got
get
a
what I'm
fan
saying?
here. You got a
But
fan.
just think about when Donnie was in office, what you
got
were
a
able
fan.
to do,
Yeah.
and then he even warned
You
us
got a
that
fan.
if I leave,
You
they gonna try
got
to
a-
push me out. Y'all know what's
I
coming.
love how
And,
every time you get one, you get one.
Cause the only reason that Obama was,
Trump got Cuzzo out, so
man,
Rest
the
in
only, the only reason that Obama was, was such a, cause they all actors and they play a role. So, and they already know who's gonna be
It was
the
just-
president. Like they already have it lined up. I don't even want to get too deep, but come on, like they already know. So, like those kind of things, I ain't trying to have them at my doorstep, doing too much. But I like, I
You know
study
what you
these
know.
things.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
that's why I pay attention to like overseas politics.
Yes,
I pay
yes.
attention
Because
over
why
there.
does everybody hate America?
Because we always over
Answer
there.
that, right? You know what I'm saying? Y'all the nosy neighbor.
Only country with an embassy in every country.
Yeah, like America is caring.
We can have a
So
we
I'm
got a
curious,
military
'cause
base in your country. Why?
As a Jamaican, Jamaicans, I would argue, like, are some of the most global influential people in the world.
They are the.
Hey, you know, people get upset about these things. So,
I don't
you know,
know why.
I like
Molly is known everywhere.
that's, you know what I'm saying? Like, some of the
I
most
said we might not have hip hop without certain.
some of the most known figures, and you know, are from descendants of Jamaica.
DJ Kool Herc. I don't know if he's Jamaican, but I think
No, his family is. I think so. I think it's folks. But with that being said, as a Jamaican descendant, do you think that ever plays a part in how you see yourself, or is that just it wouldn't matter? I'm just or is that something that is like
Culture definitely has defined my life and my overall open mindedness. Being like we just was talking about the youth, right? So being like living in this country as well, because we're indigenous to this land. You understand that like a ghetto is just like realistically a ghetto originated in the Holocaust. It's an experiment where you put a large number of organisms in a small space with limited resources, and eventually, like, we're gonna start out working together. Everybody get a piece of bread. Everybody get a cup full of water.
Now we're gonna start rationing y'all off.
And then when it get, when ain't nothing left, my family needs. I need more than you. You can't live, and then I die. It becomes where we're all together. We start thinking singular. You get what I'm saying? So I understand, like, I'm learning. I keep saying I understand. I'm learning that like everything is just one big experiment. Like if you read certain things, like and you decipher, text from the Bible, certain text describes this as a firmament. If you look up the definition of a firmament, flat land, dome like. You get what I'm saying? Like I don't, I just think about what's truth and what's not truth, and all of it could be real, like from everybody's perspective, and everybody could be lying. Like I don't look at it as right or wrong. I just look at I need as much of this information as possible to be able to shape my life. So living in Jamaica, being of Jamaican descent, British descent, a global citizen in a sense. Like I don't really have attachments. I don't have. Some people say I'm cold because I don't really like draw near to where I want to go vote for
this or that.
Some ward for what. I'm not from DC. I'm not from Maryland. I'm not from anywhere. Like I was born into the world. You know what I'm saying? Like I was in a hospital in a location, of course. Like, but if you ask me where I'm from, like
I'm here.
I'm here. I'm alive. I'm from God. Like He knew me before I knew myself. You get what I'm saying?
That's
so
true.
The portal. I came through the portal of a woman. Like I don't really put it
wherever
as,
she
like,
was. That's how.
Man, come on, like my,
So with that being said, how does that play into the brand? Because I feel as though like your being and your aura is very much so. Hey, it's all one. I can't have one without the other.
Yeah.
So when you talk about all these things, how do you transfer? I guess that energy.
He has a hoodie that said "For the things money can't buy."
So and like I read the other one, something about our prayers. I was like, damn.
God knows our prayers.
God knows. I was like, you and my boys, Plastic Missiles. I was like, y'all doing some things with these.
That's why I said
with these joints.
We shouted you out.
On our
episode.
review, yearly review.
I ain't. So I've been kind of like weaning myself off social media too. So,
no, it was an episode. We just did the episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was our 2020.
I gotta watch it.
Yeah,
2022 year review.
Yeah.
And then we shouted out Ricardo Deshaun, Plastic Missiles, and Prey as our 3 brands, no order.
PreyFourLove. This is the owner.
Oh, I got a couple of your hoodies in the crib.
Man, look.
You see what?
And I look, and so that's also like I don't
See
want
what we do
nobody
here,
to,
people.
Exactly.
We bring the community together.
I enjoy the fact that people can enjoy the pieces rather than the person. So I don't like, and this is I didn't name it after like myself because I attached things to myself before, and then people only you know what I'm saying, like
work out.
me and Rich talk almost every day. And he's like, man, like he got the brand Trap God. Like I don't think people would be as like annoying as they are at times if it was the Trap God and not necessarily like Ricardo Deshaun, because it's too. Sometimes it becomes too relatable in your community. But if he goes to LA, Ricardo Deshaun is
Who the hell is that?
man, it's an upscale luxury
Brand.
You know what I'm saying? Like nobody's worried about Rich being,
who he is.
black with tattoos. They're not even looking at him.
When we
in that
met
way.
him, we were in Miami doing a pop up.
Wow.
And that's how we got connected with him, because our booths was right beside each other when we did merch, and he gave us just endless game, and then it's just like a big brother friendship since then. And so that's why he was like, when I told him I was trying to get you on, that's why he was just like, oh yeah, that's somebody I definitely need to have
That's
on.
when I say, so me and Rich got cool. He's a brother now, but at the time it was 2020, and I was just on my grind, and people was like, yo, you need to reach out to this person. Me personally, like growing up with a dad who was a hustler, like, really did it on a level. I remember, I kind of leave the pee out because of what's going on with the slimes and all that. Like, I don't really want, they don't, like, things is going crazy for them folks down there. So I don't even want to associate. But my dad is one of the most spiritual people that you won't even, realize, right? Because he's an imposing figure. My dad is 6'3", 265 now, but he used to hover around like 280, just big arms and shoulders, all, just a massive man, but he never was, he always had finesse and, swagger about himself. He never was funny? Like a robot with that.
I know a dude who's about 6'6", and I was talking to him the other week about how people who are of a more imposing figure, they understand that in their mind, and there's a subconscious to it. That's very interesting you said that about your father.
Yeah, I mean, he's a man that demands respect without even it having to be said. And I learned that, like, body language is everything, energy is everything. Before you even meet me, you fuck with me. You don't even know you fuck with me or why. He just cool. I think he's just cool. I heard good things about him. Like, even if
hold on. So what happens what happens when the opposite happens?
Just that, huh?
So what happens when the opposite happens?
That's none of my business.
I like you, Karl.
Because how you view me before I even speak is your insecurities. And I won't ever let you project, your
only positivity.
You get what I'm saying? You can't project your insecurities on me. What would Nip say? Your opinion of me has shit to do with me. That's you. I'm not in your head, and you don't know me. I don't let it dictate who I am.
Don't give two fucks about what the critics say.
I literally work every day.
Unless the critics say the type of shit that get me paid.
Man, come on, man. Like I work every day, and I don't take that lightly, and nobody's gonna try to like
take that from you.
Yeah, you just a local this or a local that, or you just did it. Like, watch your mouth.
So you know what's crazy? And Rich is gonna enjoy this. I hope he watches this. Yeah. So one time I asked him about being a T-shirt brand. Like
don't ever like that is like you get, but there are T-shirt brands.
And he was like, no, like past that, And we got past that, and for you talked about your experiments with your clothing, and so we're not even gonna get into whether that is not. But I'm gonna ask you, as a person who makes clothes and brands and all this, you live in this area. You're not from anywhere. Yeah. Who's the best brand in this area that makes clothing?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I'm stuck in the fact that like we don't work together. So me, Rich, and Zella have been talking, like Deja. I mean, sorry, I don't like grouping her. She is a person. Her brand is Zella Famani. You get what I'm saying? Like me, Rich, and Deja, we are working, but who's had the most collabs locally?
The collab that you and Rich dropped last year.
And I
bought both pieces, the shirt and the shorts. Yeah. Big fan.
I appreciate that. And Rich, he sent me a designer just for my brand. He don't ask for that. Come on, man. Like, I don't support, and I just couldn't support last year as much as I wanted.
I was like, if I buy something online, is it able for you to bring it to the jump tomorrow? And he was like, I don't have anything on hand. I was like, say less.
Yeah, so Mo took that over. So we delegate now. So delegation is the highest form.
I'm not gonna get you out of you can. I hear what you're saying, but all right, let's keep those two out of it.
Right,
so keep them two out of it because y'all work together. So I can understand that. That's good.
So passion, creativity. There's no brand like mine, so I can't put myself in in a competition
That's
with
what I'm
people
saying.
that don't resonate.
You can take yourself out.
I am my own.
Because we're the best part. I'll tell you right now.
I
Like,
understand.
no one else does what, like.
I don't have to tell you. You know, Pat fuck with us because we not trying to be. I mean, everybody kind of has inspiration from another source, right? We don't. No thoughts are our own. You know.
Yes, I love that.
Everything
is a
comes from
recycle something from somewhere.
You know, it's energy, right? So
Yeah.
boomerang. You just got to be able to express those thoughts in the most unique way, you know, to yourself.
And I love that, but I still need you to answer me. So
we are the best brand. And if you want me to, I'm not gonna put nobody above me.
all right, so let's take you out of this because we all. Listen, if you take us out of the podcast game, because like no one, the range, the depth, no one does it like this. Like the guest,
Our interview style,
it's amazing.
The
like,
guests that we have, the timing of our guests when we have
they come,
them. There's no need to talk about
Trump
it.
to fashion to sports to baby mama drama to tour. Listen, you want it, we can fucking do it. So there's no one, and there's other people who are really good, but they're not us. Jadakiss, I think, said niggas is nice, but they not him.
Nah, they're not.
You know what I'm saying? So like, I respect it.
Real.
They're not us.
Yeah.
So let's take you out of it
Yeah.
and just tell me because. I loved because we had this argument on the pod, so I'm glad you're here. We was like Plastic Missiles, Ricardo Deshaun, you. So, and that was just what we said. But you know, we're kind of biased too because we at this point we have relationships with all of y'all. So I don't want to be the guy who's just like, oh, the people who I know and I'm wearing, I like the most.
But I just said that because of the quality.
I said the same thing. That's what I said about Plastic Missiles.
Yeah.
What did your man say? What
It's
our
like,
price
this
is like?
a
He
12
told.
ounce hoodie. I have one.
Yeah.
That shirt is amazing. I wear that shirt. I wore that shirt the other day on the pod. I was like, damn, this shit still feel good.
And I talk to these guys. So what separates me from everybody else is that I have no fear factor. So the person that connects with me on that level the most, and this is outside of the people that we've named, is Quan. Absence.
Okay.
Juanito. You know, like, and we just started, like, you know, communicating in the last year. You know what I'm saying? But
all right, Absence. I haven't heard
person
his
that
name
don't
much, but I like that.
He not
Follow
in
them
the
on Instagram.
he not in the mix, right?
I like
So
that.
Rich wasn't in the mix. Deja wasn't in the mix.
They
We
just
all was
dropped the
doing.
hoodie.
He got the green collection.
Yeah, they
He
just
got the
dropped this
shades of
week.
green. So he
I
you
love.
know.
I think in particular in this area, as far as fashion, that is probably the most creative thing that is currently going. I think in the early 2010s it was rap, like the actual music. But I think like what's the girl Hanifa? Like to be honest, once she did that runway, that virtual runway shit, I was like, whoo! I was like, yeah. And her being local, I was just like, that's really hard. So I really respected that. And then I've seen like I said, I couldn't give Rich enough praises because I just think from the store to the clothing,
He's not afraid, and we battle with like our age, right? So being 37, the average 37-year-old is thinking about, you know, tax time and you know, write-offs and all, you know, and we thinking like we just lost $50K this year already, or you know what I'm saying? Like, how am I gonna pay for this new collection or things of that nature? And it's just not the same. So for me to say someone is better than the other or I'm better than the, like, we all got our own story. So now that I know, like, if I didn't know these niggas, like,
it'd be you. And see, that's why I say I'm glad you, because you know
I
we
will
can
pop my shit.
I'm glad you
no
can.
problem.
We can take them out because, like I said, Rich is different. He's a different type of cat, and we big bro. So there's no denying. But like, I'm glad you brought up Absence because I personally, what I like to do here is forget to people because I think people respect you and what you do. So I think when you to say Absence, I don't know if he, you know, but I think he'd appreciate that, like you and the work you do. You see that
Quan
and you respect that.
So Quan, so outside of the people that we've named, right? Let's just talk about the collabs that I've done already. I think I've done 5 or 6. Nobody else is working together. Everybody won't work with, like, everybody's willing to work with me, but they not working with each other.
I asked Rich that the last time he was here.
Did that collab, bro.
Why
gave
won't
us the sneak peek
why
when
won't you
y'all
local
collab.
niggas work with each other?
See, so like,
he was like, because he was like, Chuck asked the question, and he was like,
No, ask one of the rap niggas. I forget who, but that's one of the rap niggas.
but you asked Rich too, though.
Oh, maybe I'm glad you fashion cast is working. At least niggas working with you. I'm glad somebody working with somebody.
And Rich was just like, I give you something offline, but he was just like, some of us actually work together. He was like, it's a few of them I fuck with. He was like, but the rest of them, like, cause you followed up. That was your follow up to the t-shirt question.
Yeah, I mean, and everybody's not going to mesh well, but my brand is so versatile, or versatile, however you pronounce that.
And it's intentional,
right? It's very intentional. So I don't have a cap.
Yeah.
You're not just gonna say it's a name, or you're not gonna just say it's a T-shirt. Or you're not just gonna like Pray for Love can be anything. We have a Pray for Love trucking. We got Pray for Love organics coming. Like we got all of these things that you can't box me in, and that's intentional. I think about names, right, and you can't cap me to just one thing. I can always transition, but I think that's what separates me and this brand from this particular brand name from everyone else. You know what I'm saying? It's not to take away from what they're doing. It's just giving myself my own flowers at times because I don't really rely on people to tell me who I am. Man can't dictate nothing. I don't no idolatry, none of that shit for me.
Sure.
So I don't want to be idolized, nor do I idolize any man on this planet. So to answer your question even further, I want to just give myself props for being as
that guy.
You know what I'm saying? That everybody can connect with because. And I don't mean anybody, but
he's saying this.
just think about like the first collab we did was with, and this is a woman-owned brand, Commas and Sense.
That's a woman-owned brand?
Yeah, nobody knows, right? You don't even know.
No, because Eric Gerard shouted them out on
right.
my pod.
They got like, they got a deal. You know what I'm saying? But he supported, like Eric supported us too, but I'm just saying
he
like,
shouted y'all out as well.
Commas and Sense, that was the first collab I ever did. The second one was Paradise. Shout out P. Pierre, a genius. I think a lot of us just need each other, and in these moments, like I'm that guy, like I'm gonna be the one.
Everyone he's naming, if you would like to come sit on the couch, you are more than invited.
P would sit on the couch. He lived for this kind of stuff because he in New York nigga. He don't fuck with niggas. I'm like,
I love New York.
You gotta fuck with people though. Like, I love New York. I used to live in Connecticut. Like going to the Bronx and things like that was like right there. You know what I'm saying? But the Bronx. No, I'm saying like
I kid. I love the Bronx.
But just think about every borough got their own. It's like you.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm a Brooklyn cat myself personally. I like to stay in Brooklyn.
So we on Flatbush. We on.
Shout out to Bushwick,
Queens.
Shout out to Bushwick.
We grew up on all those places like
Pacific Street.
Every Jamaican, African, Puerto Rican. You name it.
You know the
New
vibes.
York is that.
You
right?
know the fucking vibes.
So first
Shout out
collab,
Soulful
Commas and
Foods.
Sense. Second collab was Paradise. We even did a shoe.
Ooh.
I saw that.
Yeah, we did a sneaker that did very well, but the logistics was all fucked up. So we kind of lost traction with because this could have catapulted us into doing our own silhouette, which I do have my own silhouette coming out soon.
That's what you just recently posted?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I should have the samples in shortly. Shout out Sean Collins. He's the one who helps with all of that stuff. You gotta have him on the couch soon. The next collab was with.
If you can help us out with that.
Nah, of course. The next collab was Paradise. Then it was with Mo, with Services by Timeless. We did 2 pairs of shorts. We did a couple tees. And then we collaborated on on commerce, like business structure, like we work together now. So that was the third. Then 2022, it was Simple to Society. They out of Virginia. Shout out Vo and the entire Asian community because he got that on lock. Like just think about I'm crossing borders. Like there's no borders for me.
Tough.
So.
The Asian community buys.
Oh my God, they support they really show up for each other.
Sure.
How I expect us to show up for one another, but that's another topic.
Inshallah, brother. Inshallah.
Yeah, Simple to Society. Then I really want to shout out Malik Campaign. Campaign Way is a brand that I wrote down. Like me and him got to work, and then what him, Zell, and Asia did with Southside Market and things like that. I just love that they're community based, but they have realistic views too. So they're not really unrealistic to the fact that this can be something great or it can be destroyed by the same people that you're providing it for. And I love that they don't really care to play the politics either, unless it benefits everybody as a whole. I love them. Like so, shout out Zell. Shout out Leak, shout out Asia. And then I ended it off with
Shout out to
Ricardo
cousin
Deshaun.
on age. Shout out to cousin on age getting engaged as well.
Amazing. Shout out to their potential union, upcoming union. And then we ended it off with Rich. So that's 6 collabs, Ricardo Deshaun, and people can't even come to the table to do one. I got 4 on the table that could possibly happen with me and Quan, as I mentioned, and and collaborating on pieces. Like Rich just sent me something today. Like you don't necessarily have to collab on an item as far as like both of our names being on it, but he designed this.
That's tough.
So the wreath, of course I'm looking up what this means.
Mm-hmm.
So for me it's just,
Symbolism is important.
I'm not worried about the religious, part of it, but this is something that it's gonna get dropped. So having like eternal, like you know what I'm saying, like everything is eternal. Even when we die, my grandmother, God take her soul wherever it needs to go, whether she's coming back or moving on. The physical is being buried next week. Her soul is.
You just lost your grandma?
Yeah,
I just lost mine too.
Man, like it's a thing. You know what I'm saying? Like they raised us.
For sure.
I love my mother, but my grandmother taught me how to hustle. She was a seamstress. She used to buy clothes from Gusini and Rainbow and places like that over in Langley Park, Riggs Road. Like she used to buy stuff from TikTok liquor and sent back to Jamaica in barrels. Like people don't even know about barrels. You know what I'm saying? Like we used to have like 20 barrels in the living room when we lived in New Carrollton, and just to see like her build stores.
My parents got a store. I got barrels of that.
See, so like she probably, she would have, but she taught us how to hustle.
Rest in peace, Grandma.
Man. Like I appreciate that. All the grandmas, that we lost.
Nah, because I said that at my grandmother's funeral. I was like, my grandma would put me on a path to being a man. I was just like, because I moved down to North Carolina. She was just like, you gotta get a job, champ.
Yeah.
Like point blank period. And I was just like,
My grandmother said I need to learn how to cook clean for myself because these women don't poison you.
She expected
I'm like,
that.
I'm 12. Like, what you talking about? Like, who could poison me at 12? But you start to see like the emotions of a woman as it relates to a man is very intense, and vice versa, because men also have become very emotionally unstable. Like where women used to cater to us for control, and they provide the balance. Like we're losing the control, and we're looking to women to provide us with the control. And that's just my opinion. That's not facts. I mean, in my household, I am the man, and my wife is the woman. Like we are both not equals because I can't do what women do. Can't give birth like she is the god of what she can do, and vice versa. I am, that to her. So a lot of times, like we tend to think of roles as like barefoot, pregnant in the kitchen, but that's not the roles that we talking about. Embracing who you are makes it easier for someone else to accept you for what you bring to the table as well. So I just, shout out my wife, man. Shout out
I love that, man. I love to see love.
But Granny taught me how to hustle.
No, on topic.
Because I was gonna just talk about the pieces and the collabs.
Yeah.
Because when you said you couldn't relate to anybody or everybody.
Oh, so before you even say that, Granny taught me that you catch more bees or catch more flies on honey, right?
Yeah.
You tend to, and my dad always said, keep your enemies, closer than your friends, because your friends can become your enemies, and your enemies become your biggest allies. I always want allies. I don't want more hurdles to jump over for my fragile ego. And that's a lot of people. I don't know. I mean, I don't really want to mention people's names because I haven't met them in person yet. But there were a lot of brands that were popping, in 2020. I mean, 2017, 18, while I was in Florida, and I was seeing the upward trajectory. Different things, and like I always wonder, like, who are the people that you have around you keeping you on track? You know what I'm saying? And a lot of us don't have the right people. And me being who I am, I don't really trust niggas in that way. I like working with women. Women definitely, and my dad was a ladies' man, or is however you want. Like he knows how to talk to women, and he intimidates men.
She's a smooth cat.
Yeah, so
he knows how to talk to a woman, and he intimidates men.
Your persona is everything. Like he knows how to treat women, and he knows how to keep men in their place.
Instagram caption.
I'm going to quote that tonight. He knows how to talk to a woman and intimidates men.
I had on the collab with Ricardo Deshaun that you did. I'm on a train on the way to work.
Yeah.
This middle-aged white woman, like, taps me on my shoulder, and it's just like, I have. And she was like, I like your outfit. And I was just like, really? She was just like, yeah. She was like, the pieces you have on, she's like, they mesh well. I like the message. She was like, who did this? And I was like, it's a collab between Ricardo Deshawn and Pray For. And she was like, really? And I was like, yeah. She was like, are these like designer brands? And I was just like, no. I said yes. I was like, no, but yeah. I was like, but they're like black-owned brands from Maryland or PG County, DC area. And she was just like, I love it. And she was just like, I really like it. She was like, the color scheme, all that. And then she just got off the train and kept moving. And then that's when I was just like, for you to say that you don't connect to everybody, I was like, that's not crazy. Because like, I don't know this woman from anything.
Oh no, I said I do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I do. And I don't put myself in a position to not connect. Because we have to recharge ourselves or charge ourselves. We just had to change the battery. You got to stay connected, or else you lose energy. And I don't isolate myself in that way. How we're taught. Oh, you gotta be independent. You gotta be a man. A man stands on his own 2 feet. But there were tribes. You had the tribal leader. You had second in command, third in command. You had the doctor. Everybody plays their role to the T, so that the ecosystem.
I say black people
works. They love struggle.
Imitating the mafia.
Oh my goodness!
So it's just like the boss.
But they don't know the first thing though. They don't know the first thing about it. You can imitate, but how far does it go? The mafia is still around. All we got is little street gangs.
We normally do a thing where before people leave, we have them look into the camera and they say something.
Oh, one more time, before we leave, Chuck. Yeah. We talked about basketball before we left. You said basketball doesn't entertain you. I know that Friday is strictly for family.
Yeah.
A couple times we couldn't lock in on weekends because your son had a basketball tournament. Yeah. We talked about family as well. What joy does it see watching your son play the sport that brought you so much joy?
Not much, because
wow.
These days I just enjoy him being able to experience things.
Okay.
So for me, it's not really what he's doing; it's how he does it and what it brings to him. Like they just lost yesterday, and he didn't lose all the last session. They went 11. What was it? 11-0 or something like that.
Yeah.
Like they played like 11
like
games.
They hoop. Because I be watching the story and I'm like, oh, they be balling.
Yeah, like not 11, like 6-0 or 7-0. But they won the championship. He got defensive play. Again, I'm big on intangibles of life because a Swiss Army knife is more, is more effective than just having a big ass butcher knife. Like I can do multiple things and it's more valuable. So I always tell him to understand your role. Like, if your role is to be this right now, then you will be it. You can't cry about not being able to score if you don't work on those skill sets to be able to score. There's other kids that are working on these things, and I don't have the capacity to talk to you any other way other than being your dad. And your response to me being your dad at 6 years old is not going to help you become the best basketball player ever, right? So for me, it's understanding that I'm working on your emotional state, you being in control of your emotions, you being able to focus in and take what's given to you and translate that to, the task at hand. These are life skills now. Basketball is just providing him another opportunity to learn life skills. I don't really care about the game per se. And other people, care more about it for themselves and their children than I do.
Their lives
it's not a knock. Yeah, it's not a knock. I'm just saying, like, it won't crush me if my kid is not he doesn't live with, you get what I'm saying? Like, because I don't think,
I was going to say Trevor Ariza, honestly, because he's a champion.
He's a champion. I mean,
he's a champion. He made over $100 million in his career.
I'm just saying. I think what he's saying was that like everyone's trying to get their kid to be like
the best of the best
instead of being themselves.
You know what I'm saying?
And my son is the coolest kid you ever meet. He could sit right here with us.
and he's saying maybe the sport is just an outlet for his kid. That's it. It's a thing he does.
Because I don't like the politics of sports that like what it is now, and it starts at the bottom levels too. So toddler ball is the perfect place for him to just be a kid, even though like the atmosphere gets a little political at times, and you know it's just due to the fact that everybody's so into their children, like they're involved, you know. But I do wish that more dads were involved in the toddler ball practices and things like that. Because even my wife, I gotta draw her back. Like, you don't really understand. Like, you're going from an emotional state, like they're yelling at refs and doing that. I'm like, they 6. You get what I'm saying? Like, they're trying to teach them the game of like they don't even know how to stand at the free throw line formation. Like, you know, like it's 1 yellow in the middle and 2 blacks on the outside, like 1 at the bottom, 1 at, you get what I'm saying? Like, you don't even know to box out the shooter on the second shot, or you know, oh, it's 1-on-1. They don't understand what 1-on-1 is. They don't know. They just running around. So, you know, I just think that it's too much pressure too soon for a lot of these kids, and I don't put that pressure on he cried last night because they lost. And I'm like, oh, you really like what you're doing. So that's the thing, is like being able to see things through, because it was plenty times at 4, he was like, I want to quit. I don't want to, and we don't do that. Like, quitting is not an option. Like, you can figure out after 2 or 3 years, like, okay, I'm not really getting better at this. Like, it's cool to play, to have fun, but competitively, I'm not really feeling it. I can be a competitor at something else and really maximize. He can be, you know, a gamer if he wants. Like, all kids are tech savvy right now, so being able to get into the coding, that's the future. Like, I don't really want him to just be a, you know, be a gladiator. Like, I'm not worried about that.
Pour his eggs in one basket.
Yeah, I mean, you can always have more eggs to put in that basket, as Kobe would say. So I don't mind him putting his eggs in one basket. Just make sure that basket is able to hold all the eggs that you need to put in there consistently to be great at it. So
You've been dropping some bars tonight, Slim.
And it's just me taking in what I hear and finding how to use it in my life before I speak on it. So, you know, those kind of quotes and ideologies definitely have shaped me. Like, for Jordan to say, like, you know, for somebody to tell him scorers can't win championships, and him to say, you know, well, I'm about to show you. And he changed his game to fit a team aspect, but he still scored. He's still top 10 all time, you know, top 5, whatever number he's at, you know. And then somebody to say, Kobe, you know, there's no I in team, and he said, well, there's a me in that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a thing where you have so much self, you know, belief. You know what I'm saying? I believe in myself like I believe in God. It's not the same way I believe in God, but the feeling that I get when I talk to the Most High, and like I feel like He's listening to me.
The faith that I got,
you get what I'm saying?
That I feel like
eternal.
He put in me.
What I just showed you. You get what I'm saying? Like, you can't defeat me. The only reason they put that you know, the thorns on his head, if you believe in Jesus or whatever, the only reason they put the thorns on him was to mock him. So, you know, no idolatry. You know, man shall not have any idols. You know, you don't idol worship. When Moses came down from that mount, and they had the golden calves and everything, he was like, y'all niggas is crazy. Like, what? I just told y'all before I left not to do. You get what I'm saying? And they was wilding out, and that's what I look at the club as.
That was my chosen. That was my chosen name, man. Son. Like, that's what Musa translates to.
I love it because I know it's another guy named Musa that I met on Instagram. Through Pat, he got a brand called. Oh my gosh, it's about to blow me because it's no disrespect to you, Musa. Oh man,
Listen,
be a leader.
Glad you remember. I was gonna say there's a lot of smoke in there.
Yeah, be a leader. And Musa's also a Muslim. Like he studies Islam, and the most humble, but like I feel like he's like dangerous too. That's what I get from like all Muslims, is that y'all know yourselves on the journey. You start learning yourself more, and I'm not about to make this out, but I'm gonna get backlash, right? I'm gonna get backlash for saying this, but Christians are so emotionally driven at times that they kind of lose the sight of learning more about their spirituality than just following a certain sect, right? So there's no journey for a lot of them. Like, most of them come in for reasons that are like so vile, and you know what I'm saying? Like, they're trying to find some sort of comfort in what they're doing, and the acceptance that they're looking for is almost lost in translation of like, am I helping you become you, or am I just allowing you to become a part of this church to build my brand in this day and age. Because what I feel like, you know, churches in the wild, like, you know, Jesus, Mo was just, we were just talking about this on the way over here. He was like, man, it's a scripture where it was basically saying, like, Jesus came into a church setting and started throwing some shit around. Like, what y'all doing? This ain't how I told y'all, you know, to teach. And, like, if we're not teaching anymore, then what is church meant for? What is, you know, the synagogues and temples? Like, what are they for? Is it for people to take photo ops? I mean, you can't even go out to dinner without, you know, you doing a toast. If we all did a toast, everybody's like this. And I'm like, damn, like, we so disconnected from the moments and like the memories. Like, this is the best computer I ever had, and now I can't remember certain things at times because I rely so much on this. You get what I'm saying? Everybody struggles with what's the name I done it on the show a couple times trying to figure out and remember things because you know, so it's like
one of the Islamic lectures I was listening to this week, he was talking about, it was like how we always, he was like, people say Instagram before they say Bismillah. Like, that's what Muslims say to bless their food. And then he was just like, and then we always picking up our phones trying to record stuff. He was like, but you don't know, like, your eye has more megapixels than your phone.
The lens is the lens is a direct mimicking or replica of your eye.
Yeah.
The irises, like when you blink, you're taking photos, mental photos. Like, we don't know ourselves though.
He said that in a couple too. So I was just like, when he said that, I was like, kill. And I thought about it, I was just like, that's all right there.
Let me ride for the Christians and the Catholics one time. You know, like I feel what's going on here.
But you know, we back with Jesus on this side.
You know, I definitely get that. I just think religion.
I'm not talking about it all.
Yeah, no, I think religion as a whole. I was reading this book, A Blind Man with a Pistol, and in Harlem, and it basically is a man who comes back from war in the '60s, and his first instinct is like basically try to become a pastor because he's like, that's how I can get money, I can get a congregation, I can get a following. And I would argue that like from the tail of time, being able to lead people is a very easy way to gather money, gather power, gather notoriety. Jim Jones, you name it, like the Pope. You go throughout all these different, all these different religions, all these different, all these. You have these leaders. So I would personally be like, yo, that's just a thing. But I like what you mentioned about like the sex of Christianity, because I think that's a big thing in which doesn't really get enough focus. Because I went to Catholic school. My father was actually Catholic. My mother, I guess, Protestant, Episcopal, whatever the fuck you want to call it. And you definitely see a different like way of thinking. You definitely see a way of thinking.
It's in the Quran.
Ultimately, to get to the.
He was like, my nation will be divided into 74 sects.
Ultimately, to get to the same, you would think, right, same end goal. But when you're kind of doing, when you're practicing so differently, it's very hard to look at it as the same end goal.
Biblically, who chose the leaders opposed to now?
Allah.
God.
Who chooses the leaders now?
People.
Man.
Or man chooses himself
exactly.
to lead. Who am I to say I'm a leader? Other people can appoint me in that, and I'll gladly decline that because I haven't learned how to fully follow yet. I haven't fully immersed myself in the following.
This is something I tell him though. There's certain people who I think have an awareness of self that is unique that not everybody has. I have this conversation with my father that the way you see the world
isn't how everybody else
isn't how everyone else sees the world. And it's very
Charles says that to me
and it's very
daily.
And it's very particular when we're talking about morality.
Yeah.
Because there's something that can't be judged but is. So when we're deciding, oh, this is right, this is wrong, who's to say? I say this all the time. Who's to say it? Like I like to use curse words. I like the word fuck. Really, I don't know why.
It just that. You get what I'm saying?
And it always, since I was a little kid, it bothered me that some reason like this is a bad. Like who decided one day that this was the word that? And I'm sure there's a linguistics person who can be like, hey, in this time in the world, that whatever. But once again, someone decided
A
that.
lot of the swear words happening in the 1800s.
Like a faggot used to be a biscuit or some shit in London.
Yeah.
Or a cig. It used to. Now it's a
Can I get a
slur.
fag?
Now it's a slur for a group of people.
It's a single cigarette.
Single
in Europe.
cigarette. So like.
They still say it.
They still say it. Yeah, they
So
still say it.
so my thing is that like who is to decide what versus who is to
Cuz said that
decide
to me
this?
when I was at work. I was outside smoking a cigarette. He was like, "Can I get a fag?" I was like, "Whoa, what about it?" Because I heard his accent, and I was like, "Oh, I
So
got you."
think about how they even teach. Think about
He was like,
think
"Can I
about
get
how
a
they
fag?"
even
And I was
teach
like, "Oh,
now,
yeah."
right? They don't really teach history anymore. My
Yeah.
son doesn't come home.
Oh
more.
no, I mean, a lot of states are
They're
voting it
rewriting.
out.
Yes, they're
They're
rewriting
voting
it. And so again, we start like 2020. They were saying they're promoting, they're marketing the Great Reset, right? So
Like
you know
the
we like
Bill
to
of
talk
Rights.
about Mandela effects and all that. Like that's a real thing. They'll literally regurgitate things to you 20 times in different ways so that you can't tell. It's like the guy at the train station doing like, where's the ball? Like this is the ball right here.
Monty.
You get what I'm saying? And it's just it's deception. Like it's deception for a sense of control. So to go back full circle to
This
you know
interview is
religion
going
and
a lot of
anything,
places.
right? Yeah, like
And I love it.
so I love fashion because you can be as free
Shout
as
out
you want
to
to
me.
express whatever. Like I wore a hoodie that said God on it to the gym, and I've been wearing it for a whole year. Mo made this hoodie. It just says God. It looks like the Gap logo, but it says
G-O-D.
You get what I'm saying? And it covers the entire front of it. Mind you, I'm in the gym lifting the whole gym up. Right? I'm literally working hard. So when you see that, and this older guy, it's always the older people. They understand. Young people get so emotionally, attached or detached. Older people, they learn, through experiences that you have to be present. He just says, young man, I just want to say, I've been watching you for a whole year. It's like, I don't mean to be creepy, but every time you wear your pieces, whether it says P-R-E-Y on it, or God, or you wearing your God Knows My Prayers hoodie, and you doing pull-ups, dips, sit-ups, lifting, he was like, I love what you're doing, man. I can see the God in you. And me personally, I never, this is he's of Arabic descent. He's like, I see the God in you. And I'm like, man, he was like, the brown community, black, brown, whatever color you want to call yourself, like, we need more of this imagery as leadership rather than people. So just like the Bible was a leader, is a leader in your community, you don't look at the Bible as it's leading you, or the Quran, or you're looking at the person trying to talk to you and teach it to you that doesn't
But they're
really have
leading
a
you through
full,
this vessel.
right, and they don't even have a full understanding or an overstanding of it yet. They only been here 30 years, 40 years, 50. That's not a long time. The earth has been around infinitely. So how can you teach me about God, and God is is forever? You never been here. So you can only introduce me to things, and I gotta seek my own overstanding of everything. So I agree with what you're saying, is that you don't pick a side.
No, never.
You just
Never.
you just kind of learn.
Because I know I've appreciated a lot of things. I'm gonna sit up here. I'm not gonna lie. You said some things I've been like, I don't know.
Right.
But I've always appreciated after you say it, I'm learning. You corrected yourself maybe 4 or 5 times. I'm like, oh. So for me, you're a person who isn't hell bent on this is what it is. You're someone who's saying, hey, this is what I believe now, and if I get new information that changes, hey, that's a skill set that I think is hard, in particular for men.
Yeah.
I think a lot of men are hell bent on being right. A lot of people, I think, in particular, think about me that I'm not hell bent on being right. I'm hell bent on someone telling me, explaining to me. My father used to tell me, someone can't just tell you something. They need to explain to you why they're telling you.
Right.
So to tell me I'm wrong is fine, but to tell me I'm wrong with no anything after doesn't work.
Right.
And I get in a lot of issues with people because people will say, "Oh, you're wrong." Okay, well that's fine. Now
Explain
tell
to
me
me why.
Tell me why.
Yeah.
And you don't. And my thing about it is that and I like to traffic in things. I purposely will say this, that are subjective in nature.
I love it.
So by that subjectivity, there is no right or wrong answer. You can tell me you don't like. I'm big on someone telling me they don't like what I do, because that's fine.
Yeah.
Once you tell me you don't like it, we can actually have a conversation.
And why don't you like it?
Yeah, but
Why
see,
don't you like me? And why did I say this and it bothered you?
But you said something earlier.
Yeah.
It's not my issue how people feel about me, and I really love that, because feelings aren't real to me personally.
Right.
Those are things that are fleeting, and they change with the time. They change with the season. They change with everything.
How many times did we march in 2020? How many? I can't breathe. You know, not saying. I'm just saying, like.
No, I get what you're saying. But
throughout
you're right.
history, how many times have we marched? Right, and somebody said, "There's no." I think it was a comedian. He said, "I'm sorry. The dream that MLK had in the 70s or the 60s, that dream he wouldn't been able to connect to these kids. Like it was kids that was at the March on the Mount and all that. Like you know what I'm saying? They were kids and like what we perceive as kids." They were mature. At 14, 15, you had a job, you had responsibilities back in the 50s and 60s. Mm-hmm. These kids don't have the balls enough to go do what the kids of, yesteryear were doing. Mm-hmm. And that's why I say, are we progressing or are we regressing? We are getting back to an infantile state of mind, and it's very low. I don't even want to be cliche and say low vibrational, but there's no accountability for being a youth. Like the youth have the power, and the elders, are gonna die. And it says in scripture, I believe, just loosely based that at some point, the babes will be in control. You know what I'm saying? And life. You'll die by the hands of your child in a sense. I don't know. And correct me, if I didn't get it verbatim, but at the same time, I won't be afraid. I don't want to be afraid of elevation or learning, and by me being ignorant to the fact that, like, if we're talking about Islam, the Catholic, religion, or just culture in general, or growing up in Africa versus Jamaica or England versus Scotland, whatever, like everything is subjective to your perception. Yeah. Your eyelids are literally your reality. So every time you blink or you talking, you sitting on that couch, I can't look at life from your point of view sitting right here. So everybody, if God is all things and everywhere, then we are. Yeah. So he can be all places because we his big brother. Like the security system, like we seeing everything at all times. Like I know it looks crazy to look at me like blinking, but when you go outside and you see 1 million cars, I'm like, where are we all going? And what are we looking at? And most people are like this now.
My favorite thing to do
when we on autopilot?
When I used to live in New York, when I get on the train, was just to look at people.
Just look at people.
Just be on the subway and just think, there's going to be a point where none of us exist. And it's kind of morbid, but I like to really sometimes be in spaces with a lot of people. Mm-hmm. Where I can't talk to anybody, and just kind of look and think like, I wonder what their story is. I wonder how how they're gonna exist, how they're all gonna travel through life
at the same time,
but in different ways. How amazing that my child will sit next to me.
Mashallah.
Yo, this child is looking at life totally different.
And that's one thing I do appreciate about children is an aspect of clay in which you can mold it to a sense that they're innocent to the world. So when people act like you can't groom children, it's very weird to me because children get groomed in a multitude of ways, and I'm using the word groomed intentionally here because that's what we do. So we talk about teaching, but that's what teaching is. Teaching is grooming. So once you're kids become devout Christians or devout Muslims because they are taught that. Yeah. Kids become devout.
It starts at home.
Kids become devout rapists and murderers because they are taught that, and people don't want to admit that because that would be a reflection on
whatever their environment is. Yeah, and nobody wants to be accountable.
The generational at that.
Not even generational, but a community. Right. If you come from a place and the person who you grew up with, and you said let in your house and became this. You're going to look at yourself and say, whoa, what did I not see? Everybody wants to be proud of somebody when they do something good.
How did I aid this?
Nobody wants to take accountability for somebody when they do something bad. So it's very easy to say, oh, my homie is a fucking doctor. Look at him. Look where we've come from. Look at... It's not as easy to say, yo, my homie murdered 2 people and he doing 20 years.
Look at how you said it, people's voice tone. That's why I don't don't text me your feelings. Don't tweet me your feelings. Don't do when you see me, I want to be able to look in your eyes. And
so I can discern it.
Yes, I want you to be able to express yourself. Because if I care, I'm gonna listen. Whether you're mad, happy, sad, in love, whatever. I want to be able to receive the correct energy to respond or not respond in the perfect
Like that,
way
or not.
for you. You get what
Or
I'm saying?
not.
Like some
But
people.
sometimes you just need to listen.
Yes, and you texted me and saying, my wife know this, you cannot text me your feelings. I've been saying this since we met. Like, don't text it because I'm going to respond based on what I read. If I write something on the paper and I say, yeah, these some lyrics, I can just pass it around the room, rap these lyrics. When I wrote it, I heard a beat. You reading it, you're going to come up with a whole
totally
different
different
beat,
job.
right? So everything is
Call them reference tracks for a reason.
right.
All right, because we gonna stay here all night talking about many things. So, did you
He
look at
said
the
that
camera?
earlier too. He was just like,
Right?
yeah, I'll be in this joint all night talking.
Did you look in the camera and tell the people something exclusive about you, about the brand, about just life in general that you
Mr.
want them to
Hill.
know about yourself, Mr. Karl? Pray for
Oh,
love.
me?
Not about you, about life, anything, yourself, the weather.
Whether you believe you can or can't, you're right. And then if you watching this and you decide to DM me, ask me any questions or need reassurance about everything, first start with yourself. So whether you believe that you can or can't, you're always going to be correct.
My favorite bar from the night is he knows how to talk to women and he intimidates men. Like
In reference to his dad, though.
I'm not gonna lie, that is my favorite bar, and I'm going to quote it on Twitter
That's what you call a gentleman.
immediately.
You know the most like what's that commercial, that Dos Equis commercial?
Mm-hmm.
The
Most interesting man in the world.
That's my dad, man.
I feel that.
Can't
I think
figure
that's
him
me,
out.
but I definitely feel that.
Like, we all like he comes from a time that doesn't exist anymore too. So his
A lot of
teachings,
those gentlemen are gone.
My grandfather is stuck in the 40s, 50s. You know, he's stuck in that time. Like he hasn't come out of that, and that's why we don't connect. You know, so there's a big disconnect. He doesn't know how to transition out of that. So, you know, him losing my grandmother probably was the straw that broke the camel's back. So I try to understand. I don't have to be present to disrespect you, but I won't allow you to disrespect me. That's anybody. You know, I just use my family as a
That's great.
as a learning.
That's the best
you know,
people to
lesson.
use.
Yeah, you know. So I appreciate even just being able to disagree more than like we just like, yeah, you right, or yeah, you right. I no. What? How do you think?
More
I
things
want to
more
learn.
things
You
to
know?
learn.
Yeah, you know what?
Disagreements.
See, and I
wanna
appreciate
learn.
your
I love it.
reaction to that. Like when I said that, your face didn't tense up. You didn't. You were like, I appreciate you. I thought you genuinely appreciate me being like I didn't feel everything. I
don't fuck
appreciate
with
that.
But it's also because you said you followed that up with, you got to explain to me why you feel like this or not, so that when we do discuss it and I go in my
Yes.
personal time, I can look this stuff up and maybe come back to the table again and be like, you know, bro, I love what you said now because I understand more of why you didn't fuck with that. But then you could be like, you know what? Like, I kind of agree with this part more than I did in the moment. We just so, like,
So
emotional.
defensive.
Yes, we're
Yo,
emotionally driven.
My
man.
favorite
I
thing
don't
Nip
even
said.
know what y'all talked about while I was gone.
was
But
a
I felt
quick
like
joke.
it was basically what y'all just said.
Yeah,
It was just about the whole.
Yeah,
you
what
know,
was it?
And that's why I love me and Charles' relationship. No bullshit.
I love you too, bro.
No,
I
for
really
sure.
do.
Because it was just like when I reverted to Islam, Chuck was just like, I love this for you.
I really do.
And then he was just like, along the journey, he was just like, the more I learned, I shared.
You
And he-
share with me.
and he
I
was
know
just
so much
like-
more about Islam now than I ever did in my
Yeah,
life.
and like the more I shared, he was just like,
I be saying
open
inshallah,
to it.
people be like, I'm like, inshallah, is there a problem?
Yeah.
People be looking at me like I'm crazy. I'm like,
How are we supposed to pronounce? Is it Islam? I always ask people, and they're like,
I mean, like,
it doesn't matter how you
doesn't.
say it.
It
I'm
doesn't.
like,
It
I mean,
doesn't.
I
I will
get
tell
it.
you for a fact, as a person whose name is a Bankwa and it is pronounced Abankwa. It's like it's just it's phonetic. We're
Yeah.
speaking English here versus
Yeah.
someone maybe Arabic, Islam. It's,
See, what I learned was in other countries, it's always been out. Like the United States bullies you into saying it different.
yeah. Phonetic, you know,
I mean, but that's because we have a different tongue, though.
Right.
Because like Arabs, like they speak with their throats, and English or Germanic languages, we speak with our we speak with the tip of our tongues.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like a lot of that is just like that's why it's like if you to answer your question, it'll be Islam.
Okay, Islam.
Yeah, it'll be Islam. But you know what I'm saying. But yeah,
Stay-
but
there's a-
however you put it, like 'cause,
please,
like,
people,
there's-
this is put it
because-
up correctly. I'm just saying, we're in
Yeah,
America, you know,
but
like,
there's
work with
Arab,
me. Like,
there's Arab Christians that speak that say inshallah. You know what I'm saying? Like they say alhamdulillah. You know what I'm saying?
But isn't that more so what's culturally accepted too? So even here, like with the Christianity, it's so you get what I'm saying? So like they'll say things and you'll say it, you'll be like, oh, I'm not Muslim, I'm Christian. It's like I'm just speaking to you. You get what I'm saying? So that's where like even this is more so we need to have more dialogues
Cause like when I be at work, like I'm not only Muslim at my work, at my job, and they be like, hey Chris, how was your weekend? I'm like, alhamdulillah, it was amazing, you know what I'm saying? I was chilling, you know what I'm saying? I was able to do this and that. And they accept that, and they be like, oh yeah, I want to do this and that, and they be like, inshallah, you know what I'm saying? And they be like, I like that. And it's just like, yeah, because I'm blessing you, my nigga. Like at the end of the day, like that's all it
blessing is a blessing, no matter who gets it in what language and what. A blessing is a blessing.
And it's just like, and then they just like, what's that in Arabic? And I'm like, yeah, but at the end of the day, it's just like, just know that
it's just language.
It's just a language.
Something or explain
it's just like,
something.
there's Christians that say the same thing I do. You know what I'm saying?
They just say bless.
Yeah.
Bless you. Or bless your heart. Or,
you know what I'm saying? It might mean something. It might translate differently to them.
All it is.
Like at the end of the day, to me, we all speak.
God willing.
We all speaking God's
That's all
language.
it is. God willing.
We all speaking God's language.
So listen, this has been very amazing. It's been very fruitful. You got fashion. You got some life. You got bars, my niggas. Bars.
It's my first podcast too. I didn't mention that. I never been invited.
Hey.
I'm not a politic player. That's
hey, you guys, come let him talk.
They love playing these games.
You see, he gonna talk his shit.
Yeah, I'm.
You see, he's a really interesting guy. And we gave you the blueprint
that's
already.
The first, so this got to get a million
for us, brother.
No, listen. You got the blueprint already.
You know,
so now you can do the episode and just take some of these questions and remix them. Listen, remix the questions, bring them on. We're not gonna be mad. We love to see niggas get. Bring them on.
You know what it is too? Is like I'm glad y'all didn't ask me 2 years ago, because 2 years ago I was really popping my shit. I was very aggressive. I was very angry about a lot of things, not in a negative way, but just more so angry at life, how it was, and people's like. It was 2020, so me in 2020 is not me today, and me today is way more, open to the fact that like I don't know shit. And I love just being on platforms where it can just be open dialogue to learn more. That way when I go home and my son asks me something, I can refer back to something that I learned from other, good men. And that's like hard to find nowadays. Like everybody's so like driven to be, I'm a back door, like it's a joke to them, but for me, like that's not a joke. I've seen that happen to family members and things like where your friends are your biggest enemies, but the people you just met can be your greatest allies. So I cling to things like that. So I appreciate y'all having me on.
I appreciate you for coming through. It's been lovely. It's been an amazing episode.
We appreciate your patience.
Y'all make sure you get some PreyFourLove gear. Where can they find it?
No,
Fuck that. We ain't doing all that.
No, look, you can't avoid it. I've been telling everybody. I told her you can't avoid it. You're going to see it.
When you come on this thing, there's been a certain trajectory to certain people when you come on this pod. It's just like, bro, like you come on here, and then it's just like, So yeah,
the podcast name is High Code.
You know the vibes.
It's high. It's not low.
Yeah, I like it.
I pay attention. I mean, I don't say yes
to that one too. Might have to steal that one too.
Might have to put that in the bio.
Stop thinking it's just about
Sky got some gems, man.
smoking or anything like that. Like everything is up. Like high is just up. So
he knows the vibes. You should too.
Again,
all right,
this is the first full reason.
We're gonna stay here forever if I keep letting him.
The smoking part is just the base level meaning of
get
the
you
name.
in.
I'm gonna let him finish. I'm gonna let this off, but like we're gonna keep going. God damn.
Nah. I already know. Like we'll be here all night, but I'm gonna come back on for sure. Y'all let me know what's a good time. Maybe summertime or something.
I'm gonna say we dropping the spring summer merch.
We there. Summertime. We there. And we're out.
I appreciate it.